What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfellow. We back with the Boston Clinic and more. Y'all know what it is. Slow start to the Sunday. Early football on today. But getting a few videos in real quick. But Danny Garcia says he the biggest pull at 47 welterweight. And is it true? When we say biggest pull, not the best fighter. He's the main attraction at 147. Minus Pacquiao, Mayweather. A lot of people don't consider Pacquiao an active fighter right now. But I gotta say, yeah, he's the more popular fighter out of the bunch. He said he moves to better numbers. I can believe it, and that is what it is. Don't get it misconstrued that he's the best fighter here, because that's not true. He's not, but he's the most popular, and that's the way he can move the way he want to move. That's why he can get purses. Versus Brandon Rios, that's satisfying. But obviously he's not. He's not in the same breath as some of these top three guys for sure. And Spence, Crawford, and Thurman in the ring, most people would believe before even Crawford steps in the ring at 47. But he beat, his resume is better than all these guys. He beat more meaningful guys. It might have been at 40, but he still built his empire at 40, beating guys like Amir Khan, beating legends like Eric Morales, beating guys like Matisse. Of course, he built his clout up. He hasn't built his clout up to the point where he can be pound for pound. Right now, at one point he should have been considered pound for pound. He should have been in your top 10 pound for pound, especially after beating Matisse. But popularity wise, pulling numbers, yeah. Adrian Broner is amongst the top 3 American fighters, popular fighters, I bet you right now. But he's a loser. He's not that good of a fighter. He has the mouthpiece to sell it with his mouth and his actions. He knows how to play to the camera. He knows how to put that facade up. And he aligns himself with the right people. And that's what Danny is just doing, flexing for the gram, doing it for the snap. He fought the big fights. He's not a biggest personality as Adrian Broner, but we seen him in there with a lot of other best fighters. And he beat a lot of the best fighters out there, except for Keith Thurman. And he's just a known commodity on a big stage. He's been match made versus good fighters. And a lot of people going to take this and run with it, saying I'm saying Danny is better than all these guys. I said no. Spence had one big fight with Kell Brook. He has not even had a big fight in the U.S. yet. Keith Thurman had a lot of straight fights. Sean Porter's a good fight. Danny Garcia, that was a good fight as well for him. But nobody has had the marquee fight that Danny had versus Matisse. Remember that was on the Canelo Floyd undercard. That was a big fight. A lot of people tuned in. He got a lot of new, people, just off that Canelo and Floyd Mayweather card to know who Danny Swift Garcia is. A lot of people noticed the hype about it, saying that he was going to lose and stuff of that nature. But you got to remember, development-wise, he's ahead of these guys. He's been developed and worked his way up the TV scale before these guys. He's ahead of them, This is a guy that took off running a mile or two before a lot of these fighters even left the block. So a lot of these fighters are going to catch him or surpass him, and he's going to be an afterthought at some point. Especially with the mentality when he want to pick and choose his fights, like he in the Mayweather class. His popularity ain't that astronomically high right now, man. It ain't that high. He will get hawk, because once these guys start fighting each other, Thurman, Spence, and Crawford, people gonna say who? What I mean? But it's just that he had a head start a lot of these guys. He a popular fighter, more popular fighter than Sean Porter? Absolutely. I believe he beat Sean Porter as well. That's one guy on this list I believe he can beat. But it's just the means to end. He's enjoying the position that he's in, that he built at 147. He got built at 140, got a belt at 147. He's enjoying this position. He's trying to play his cards. He know guys want to fight him because they know that the purses are bigger with Danny Garcia. The numbers will be good, especially if you fight him on the East Coast. But he don't want to fight. He don't want to risk that. He'd rather just nickel and dime it and jump in with a big fight that he feel like he can beat the guy. Like with Keith, he felt like he could beat Keith. He wasn't no fear in Keith, but he see fear in Porter and Spence and Crawford. I bet you, because I could tell the way his demeanor changes in the interviews that he do, the way his words and verbiage changes. But he is popularity top dog, If Broner's to move to 147, he will move to number 2. And that's why a lot of guys like Thurman called out Broner in the past, That's why Sean Porter fought Broner. But when Sean Porter fought Broner, it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't good looking. It wasn't flawless. It was a nasty dogfight. He got dropped at the end. He gave Adrian Broner a moral victory right there. And he didn't do what he was supposed to do versus Adrian Broner, so his popularity never took off of Sean Porter. You know, he didn't do that. Danny Garcia did the unexpected versus Amir Khan, versus the legend Eric Morales, versus Zab Judah, who people know, versus Kendall Hart, who people know. He's been match made versus guys that have somewhat of a fan base or popularity or a level of respect in the game. And what these three at the bottom about to do, Spence, Crawford, and Thurman, they about to start establishing that versus they self, you know, and versus guys like Sean Porter, versus guys like Danny Garcia. And eventually, he going to get surpassed by all of these guys. You know, perhaps at some point, especially if he gets in the ring and loses to Sean Porter, he will get surpassed. But just keeping some knowledge, you know, answering the question somebody asked me. But we gone.